Hi there YouTube, welcome to Heart and Soul MMA. I'm Anthony and today I want to talk about the UFC on Fuel 2 card which happens in Stockholm, Sweden on April the 14th. Now the main event is Gustafsson versus Thiago Silva. Obviously Gustafsson's coming off his win of Matyashenko, TKO victory over there. He's 13-1 at the moment. Obviously his only loss is to Phil Davis. I think the hype behind Gustafsson is a little bit premature based on the fighters he's fought. I mean, the only top tier fighter I would consider a top tier fighter anyway, top 5, top 7 fighter is obviously Phil Davis. He lost. He's fought some great fighters, Matt Hamill and Matyashenko. They're no slouches, but they're not top of the tier in the division. Thiago Silva obviously is coming off of his loss to Rashad Evans, of which after the fight he got a suspension for using illegal painkillers to try and combat a back injury. He obviously used fake urine, we all know the stories, fake urine to try and mask and get round the test. Obviously he got caught and got suspended. He's 14-2. Obviously his only 2 losses are both former champions, Rashad Evans and Lyoto Machida. I think it's going to be a great fight. I don't see this one going to the ground unless Thiago Silva is getting the worst of the stand-up. I think he will shoot for a takedown. I see Gustafsson being the better fighter standing up. He's got a great jab. I really do think he's going to pick Thiago Silva apart. It'd be interesting to see how Silva comes back from his suspension. You know, will he be more methodical? Will he go back to the old Silva where he was just a berserker and used to go crazy? It should be a great fight. My pick, I don't see this going to a decision. I think my pick is for Gustafsson. I think he's going to get a TKO in the 2nd round. So yeah, Gustafsson's my co-main event for UFC on Fuel 2 is Brian Stann versus Alessio Sakara. Alessio Sakara is 15-8 and Brian Stann is 11-4. Both coming off of losses. Obviously Alessio Sakara has been out for quite a while. He's had numerous injuries and stuff like that. His last fight was obviously against Chris Weidman, which he lost by decision. Brian Stann obviously coming off of his loss to Chael Sonnen to submission. Both fighters I think are good stand-up fighters. On paper you'd have to say that Alessio Sakara has the better stand-up due to his boxing background. I personally feel that Brian Stann has crisper, harder punches. I think more is being made of the boxing calibre of Sakara than is actually true. I'm not saying he's not a great boxer, but I just think Brian Stann hits a little bit harder and he's got better kicks and knees and elbows. I personally think that Brian Stann's going to come back with a new sort of invigoration for his fighting career. Obviously I think the loss to Sonnen really kind of woke up areas that he needed to work on, and I think he's, being the guy that he is, he's going to work on them areas tremendously. He's a great fighter, not just a great fighter, but he's a great guy. He's going to work on that. Hopefully Sakara's worked more on his groundwork, his defence, wrestling defence, jiu-jitsu, stuff like that. I think it's going to be a great fight. I can't see this one going to the floor either. I think that Brian Stann's going to pick up a TKO or knockout in the 1st round. I can't see this going past 2nd round. I think with Sakara's chin, it's been a bit suspect in the past. I think that Brian Stann's going to knock him out in the 1st round. Another fight on the main card is obviously Diego Nunes versus Dennis Siver. Another great stand-up fight. They really seem to be packing the stand-up wars into this card. Obviously Dennis Siver's coming off his loss to Donald Cerrone, where he just got destroyed in that fight. So obviously he's going to come back. It's his first fight dropping down to 145. Be interesting to see his weight cut. Although he's very short, he was very stocky. Didn't carry a lot of body fat, so hopefully he can make down the cut to 45 very easily. Diego Nunes obviously coming off of his win to Manny Gamboryan. Should be a great fight. I can see that Diego Nunes is probably going to have is going to be the quicker fighter. I see Dennis Siver being the better stand-up fighter, but I definitely think Diego Nunes is the better all-round fighter. And given the guys that he trains with, I can see Diego Nunes going away with this fight. Although they're both great strikers and they have knockout power, and obviously Dennis Siver has that spinning back kick that he seems to hit all the time. and gets people down with that. I don't see this one being a knockout. I see this one going the full 3 rounds. And I can see Diego Nunes coming out on top on this. I think he might get a couple of takedowns just to secure the position, get a few points. I think he will try and look for the knockout, but I don't think he's going to get it against Silva. But yeah, that's my pick. Diego Nunes by decision. Another fight on the card is obviously the Demarcus Johnson versus John Maguire fight. Both coming off of wins. Obviously John Maguire coming off a decision win, and Demarcus Johnson knocking out Clay Harbison in his last fight. So they're both coming off good wins. I see this again being a stand-up fight. You know, the whole card's full of them. I think Demarcus Johnson will prove his his wrestling pedigree and go down for a couple of takedowns. But I do think it's going to be a great fight. I think Clay Harbison. I think Demarcus Johnson's got a little bit more in his tool bag than John Maguire has. I don't think John Maguire is completely out of his depth, but I do think that Demarcus Johnson's just going to have too many tools that he can call upon to finish the fight. I see him winning by submission, probably in the third round. I can see it being a rear naked choke, to be quite honest. I think he would pound him out for a bit. John Maguire probably turn his back to try and defend, give up his back, and that's how I see it ending. Demarcus Johnson by a third round rear naked choke. I may be wrong on those, so these are just my opinions.